KFI AM 640. It's Later with Mo Kelly. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And at the beginning of the week, I told you about this music festival, which I thought was right next door to my house. It was so damn loud. Come to find out, it wasn't right next door to my house. It was 3-4 miles away, but it sounded like it was right next door. Then I started talking to Stephen, who lives in my general neighborhood, and he said, I heard it too. It was really, really loud. And people from 5, 6, 7 different cities, no exaggeration, were calling the police, were complaining about how loud it was. Note I said how loud it was, not the bass frequencies. Mo, what are you talking about? Well, earlier today, it was announced that the city of Inglewood, per Mayor James Butts, Inglewood has banned all concerts at SoFi Plaza following the hard summer music festival debacle. And this is in response to all of the complaints, mine included. I didn't actually call anyone. I just talked about it on the radio. But it was Saturday and Sunday, which was odd to me. It's like you didn't figure it out after Saturday. It was too damn loud. Not bass frequencies, too damn loud. Here's what I mean. In a statement today, Inglewood Mayor James Butts said the elevated stage in the plaza was determined to be a major contributor to the issue. Consequently, no stages will be permitted in this area for future events. But it went on, and it was really, really perplexing, the excuses that were given. Butts said city officials worked with festival organizers between Saturday and Sunday to find ways of alleviating the problem, which primarily focused on certain bass frequencies. In other words, if they turned down the bass or they just EQ'd it a little bit differently, that would have solved the problem. No, it was a volume issue. Not only could I hear and feel the bass, I could hear the melody. I could hear the mid-range. It was just too damn loud. It wasn't about it being too much bass. Of course, that was a part of it. But that would not have rectified the problem. I'm glad that you, unlike Metro, I'm glad that you got to the correct solution and just said no more. I'm disappointed that you didn't get to the correct solution after Saturday. You didn't need to have a meeting of the minds to figure out what was wrong and why people were complaining. They weren't complaining about bass frequencies. They were complaining about the noise. It was too damn loud. Quote, these frequencies, as in bass frequencies, can be affected by stage position, reflection off of buildings, and atmospheric conditions, including wind. City authorities engaged the event promoter and the venue and implemented several critical adjustments to each stage and established enhanced monitoring plans for overall sound and bass levels. Didn't help. Did not help at all. After all that, and the calls and the complaints were still coming fast and furiously. No one just thought, hey, why don't we just turn it down? Why don't we just turn down the volume? We tried EQing the bass, the frequencies. It's not working. It's not bringing about the desired result. Why don't you just take that one knob, that one level, that one fader, and turn it down, move it down, decrease it? Look, I am kind of a sound engineer. I kind of know how audio works. I have worked in it in any number of positions for the better part of 30 years. I have done live concerts. A bunch. Tawala Sharp has done a bunch of live concerts. It ain't bass EQ. It's not bass frequencies when I can hear it 4 miles away. Because honestly, you know those boom and bass systems in trucks and everything? You could be like maybe down the street. You can't hear the music. You can feel it. Oh, here's a whoa, 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 whoa. But you don't know what the music. I was singing along to the songs. It wasn't the bass, Megan Trainor. It was not all about the bass. It was about the volume. Because the music was identifiable. It wasn't this dull, throbbing sensation of beats booming. It was too damn loud. But it went on. City authorities engaged the event promoter and the venue and implemented several critical adjustments to each stage and established enhanced monitoring plans for overall sound and bass levels. Additional sound engineers were strategically positioned in areas of concern from Saturday afternoon through Sunday and were promptly dispatched to make necessary adjustments in real time. Close quote. They did not. Why did you need more sound engineers to realize that people were calling in from Manhattan Beach, from El Segundo, from various parts of Inglewood, from West Athens, from Redondo Beach?
Manhattan Beach.
Why did you need extra sound engineers to realize they think it's too damn loud? No one of the sound engineers that you called in said, hey, why don't we try the volume button? Why don't we try that? Or take out all the bass together. We all used an EQ, I would think, right? Right? And if you use an equalizer and you put it in that V formation, you have high highs and low lows. Level it out so it's all just a horizontal line. One or the other. If you thought it was the bass, take out the bass. And if that didn't work, because clearly it didn't work after you brought in the 9 new engineers, turn the ish down. The Hard Summer Festival featured 4 outdoor music stages positioned outside SoFi Stadium, located mainly in the parking lots. And again, to recap, Inglewood has banned concerts at SoFi Plaza following the Hard Summer Music Festival. It's kind of drastic. I'm not saying I disagree with it. I'm not saying I'm mad at it. I'm just saying it could have been alleviated on Saturday if you just took the volume from 10 and turned it down to 7 or 6. Because if I can hear it 4 miles away, and I could, it's probably too damn loud. Probably. It's later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Oh. Remember how I was talking about how the rent was too damn high? And I said California previously had not one but 2 opportunities to do something about rent control. And you said, F it, we just are going to pay higher rents. Well, it's coming back around again. Rent control is back on the ballot twice. You will have another opportunity to put your money where your mouth is. And if you don't want to pay higher rents and you don't want to continue to complain about the escalating population of homeless people, then go to the ballot box and do the simple thing.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Some shows ago, all the shows run together, but I remember relatively recently I was talking about how here in California, specifically Los Angeles County and Orange County, landlords were legally allowed to raise the rent 8 to 9% every single year with you still living there, with you having no say. And I use that as a part of a larger conversation that it doesn't have anything to do with who is in the White House. It doesn't have anything to do with who is in the governor's mansion. This has to do with our voting because we've allowed it or not precluded it. We in 2018 and 2020 rejected ballot measures which would have prevented that. And just in case you don't know the math, there are more renters than there are landlords. Hear me, there are more renters than there are landlords. There are more renters who are voters than there are landlords. And if you, as a renter, most likely, do not want to take your own future into your own hands, if you don't want to have a say in whether your rent can be raised 8 to 9% every single year without your knowledge, without your blessing, then you have to pay attention to this right here. Right here. Nearly 30% of tenants in California spend more than half their income on rent. Half their income. Now, imagine the exponential aspect of your rent going up 8 to 9% every single year, as is legal within the parameters of the law. If you're spending more than half of your income on rent, put another 8% on that and put another 8% on that new number. I used the figure of $2,500. And if it went up 8%, it would go up to like $2,722. And then you would pay 8% on that $2,722. And they told 2 friends and they told 2 friends and so on and so on. Nearly 30% of tenants spend more than half their income on rent. The median rent here in California is $2,850 a month. That's California. It's probably higher here in Southern California. No, it definitely is. And that's 33% higher than the national average. But here is something that you can do. There are going to be two propositions, not one, but two propositions on the upcoming November 5th ballot, which specifically address this issue. The first is Proposition 33, and that will give local governments more control over rent caps. You voted it down before, but here you have a second chance, actually a third chance. Currently, cities cannot limit rents on single-family homes, apartments built after 1995 and new tenants. I don't think you caught that. Cities cannot limit rents on single-family homes or apartments built after 1995 and new tenants. Meaning if you're a new tenant, there's no limit as to what they can charge you when you move in. And then you can put on top of that the 8 and 9% each year. There's no limit on what can be charged for rent for a single family home or an apartment built after 1995. Because we all know no one wants to live in a building which is older than 40 years old, right? Right. Okay. This is up to you. Proposition 33 would change that, essentially ending the state's limit on limit. Tenant advocates say that if Prop 33 is passed, it would keep more people housed. Well, Mo Kelly says the same thing. Why? Because if you're limiting how much rent can be raised or charged in a given year, yes, you are more likely keeping more people housed. Don't you know that the rent being too damn high is leading to people becoming homeless? If you can raise someone's rent 8 and 9% every year at the minimum, don't you know that this is going to lead to more people on the street? And we all know how important it is to deal with the homelessness issue here in Southern California. We all care so much about eradicating homelessness. But do we care half as much about some of the root causes of homelessness? But that's the first thing. That's Prop 33. Okay? And there is another portion to the ballot measure which will also say stricter rent control, will allow stricter rent control for other housing units and developments. So there are going to be two different propositions in which you will have a say about having a modicum, just a little bit of rent control. And then we would be less likely to, well, we probably would complain anyway, but we would be less impacted by just the rent quotient. We would have more people housed. We would have fewer people homeless. And the cost of living overall in California, we all complain about it. We talk about, oh, it's so expensive to live here. I have to move to Texas because I can't afford rent anywhere in California, not even Southern California. Well, why don't you do something about that? Oh, wait, that's socialism. You can't limit the ability of someone to make money. Well, you're going to have to make a decision. Either you're going to allow unfettered capitalism and rent to exponentially increase every single year because the landlords need to make more money than you need to be able to keep, or you can vote for some degree of rent control. Because you didn't do it in 2018, look where that got you. You didn't do it in 2020, look where that got you. Now you have a chance in 2024. You have another chance. You have 3 chances in 6 years. Will you make the same dumbass decision you did the first 2 times? You probably will, but I'm just calling it out in advance. It's right there in front of you. It's going to be on the ballot. You have a chance to not only impact the cost of living here in California, you can impact the number of people who are going to end up homeless because you hate homeless people, right? You just hate them. You hate them. You hate them. You hate looking at them. You hate smelling them. You hate dealing with them. Well, do something about it. Or not. And I can do this rant again next year after the election, after you decide to do nothing about rent control and then by extension homelessness. It's up to you. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Oh my goodness. Guess what's in the next segment? Governor Gavin Newsom starts clearing homeless encampments here in LA and vows to withhold funds from California cities that don't follow suit. See how all this is connected? It is all connected. The hip bone is connected to the leg bone, and the leg bone is connected to the knee bone. Never mind.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Some time ago, I told you about Governor Gavin Newsom and his edict that he passed down, that he was going to get tough on homelessness, that he was going to make sure that encampments were cleared when it comes to homelessness. But by the way, it was limiting in respect that it could only be done on state property. I thought it was toothless. I thought it was misleading, because you think when a reasonable assumption is when the governor passes something like an executive action, you think that it's statewide. Well, it is, and it isn't. It's statewide, but doesn't apply to all of the state. And there is a significant difference. Statewide, but doesn't apply to all the state. And that's why the governor had to encourage different cities and counties to follow suit and clear these encampments. Now, the governor's taking it 2 steps further. The first step, you might have seen yesterday afternoon, the governor was helping out, clearing an encampment under the 5 freeway in Mission Hills. He was working right alongside Caltrans. That was very nice of him. It was a great photo op. I'm quite sure he got a lot of mileage out of that. Yes, I'm a cynic. There's really no point to having the governor out on the freeway cleaning up trash like he's, on trying to do some parole or community service. There's no point to that other than a photo op. But before he took the next step and wagged his finger at various cities and communities, he could say, hey, I've gotten my hands dirty. I've done the work. I have stood side by side with Caltrans, helping clear out these horrendous homeless people. The executive order, signed on July 25th, just to review, followed a recent Supreme Court decision giving local governments the authority to remove encampments and ticket people for camping in public. They're not exactly camping. They're living on the street, but they call it camping in public. And the order that Newsom sent down urged officials to, quote, address unsanitary and dangerous encampments within their communities and provide people experiencing homelessness in the encampments with the care and supportive services they need, close quote. This conversation requires nuance. It's never had nuance, but it requires nuance. The governor is not wrong. We should be tougher in the sense of handling encampments. But being tougher on the encampments doesn't address the homelessness issue. You can clear out every single encampment today from the top of the state down to the southern border, and it in no way prevents, precludes, or even inhibits those same encampments coming back in some various form the next night, the same night, the next day, or the next week. It's almost like cleaning your house. Just because you clean your house today, it doesn't mean that it's actually clean. It just means that the house is clean today. And guess what? You have housework tomorrow that you have to do. You're going to have to dust next week. My point is, you're not getting to the heart of the issue. Just cleaning out the encampments of homeless people doesn't actually get to the cause or the actual homeless people who still don't have a place to live. And just because you tore down their encampment, it doesn't make them less homeless. It doesn't make them less likely to actually set up shop somewhere else. And let's say you do ticket them for quote unquote public camping, like they're at Joshua Tree. Let's say you ticket them. What is that going to mean? What, you're going to have the fine? You're going to have some sort of penalty on top of if they don't pay the fine on time? You're going to give them a court date? Where are you going to send the summons to? They don't have an address. You're just playing around here. You're insulting people's intelligence. Or at least you're insulting mine. I happen to think that it's kind of easy to see. Just moving out the encampment is not actually going to help end or decrease homelessness. But the governor is trying to lean into this. And he's saying he's going to withhold state funding if cities and counties do not follow suit. California has an estimated 180,000 unhoused people, most of whom are not living on state property. So yes, it was nice, air quotes, to see the governor helping out. He had his little orange vest on. It was so cute. It was so cute. He was right next to Caltrans. He was saying, let's move out this homeless encampment. Let's clean up California. And by the way, Inglewood, LA, Redondo Beach, El Segundo, Cerritos, Cypress, Orange County, Newport Beach, Manhattan Beach. Let me wag my finger at you, and you too can do more to clean out encampments. Or we'll withhold state money. So what does that mean? The governor got his photo op. The governor got his executive action. The governor, because honestly, let's be real, this is still part of a grand plan to eventually run for president. This is about seeding his record for when he does eventually run for president. He can say, I did this on homelessness. I did that in the state of California. And I can show you because what? I have a photo op of me getting my hands dirty working next to Caltrans. That's how much I care about the issue. No, it's more than just about right now. It's about 4 years from now. Don't lose sight of that. And don't be fooled because a photo op and I would say a well-intentioned idea, let me say it again. He's not wrong. Yes, we need to clear the encampments, but that is an oversimplified response to a super complex issue. You're like putting new windshield wipers on a car which doesn't run. If you think that just clearing out the encampments actually rectifies, addresses, or solves the homelessness problem, then, as I've said before, you just don't want to see homelessness. You just don't want to see the encampments. You don't actually want to eradicate homelessness, which would, by extension, eradicate the encampments. You know how that works? If you don't have homeless people, then you don't have encampments. You're going about it the wrong way. You're doing it ass backwards. You're trying to eradicate the homeless encampments without actually addressing with the homelessness. Just taking away the tents are going to do what? Taking away the cardboard boxes are going to do what? Giving tickets to the people who are living in the tents and cardboard boxes with the blankets strewn atop them are going to do what? If it makes you feel better that you can say you're getting tough on homelessness, well, shoot. You'll have a great weekend because Governor Gavin Newsom has gotten tough on homelessness. He has his photo op and he's told the cities you need to fall in line. Everybody should feel good about themselves. We're getting tough on homelessness. I got news for you. You can clean out every single homeless encampment today, and you would not have one less homeless person.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And when I could catch the Olympics, I did watch for an extended amount of time. I do appreciate the fact that we live in a time where there's enough real estate, if you will, to show the Olympic Games. If you didn't catch it on NBC, the sports they had there, they had something on the USA Network. They had something on Bravo. They had something on Peacock. They had CNBC. They had every NBC affiliated network showing these games. And if you didn't see it live, they would show it to you in the evening because of the time difference. You had more than one opportunity to see these Olympic Games, which made it, well, if you're not old enough to have a comparison point, 1984, it was like one network. That was it. And it was different if you lived in the United States. At least it would fall within a window where you could see most of the stuff. But there was not enough real estate to show everything 40 years ago. Now you can see everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Something else you can see, you get a better sense of how well a city is handling the games. You got to see a lot of Paris. And this Sunday, you will have the Olympic closing ceremonies and the official handoff to the next city for the Summer Games, of course, Los Angeles 2028. And from what I've seen and from the people I talked to, I have a cousin who is there who's managing some of the members of the Olympic track and field team. And he's telling me that the city has been just about flawless as far as how they've handled the games, getting people to and from the different events. And then we both had to remember, Paris is only about 40 square miles. Yes, some of the events and venues are outside of Paris, but generally, all of the Olympics are within a relatively short distance from each other. You're not going as far as you will in Los Angeles, which is 500 square miles. And we know that a lot of these events are not going to be on the same side of the city. They're going to be different concerns as far as traffic, transportation, not only for athletes, but observers, fans, what have you. You know, criminals need to find a ride as well, too. So everyone needs to be accommodated. And the question put to Mayor Bass, LA Mayor Karen Bass, who is in Paris for the closing ceremonies, she was asked specifically whether she was concerned or whether there was any pressure put on her and Los Angeles to do as well as Paris. Because, as I was saying, just about everyone has said that Paris, the city, has handled the Olympics very well. We may not have liked everything about it, but it was handled well. And Mayor Bass said, as far as whether she feels any pressure, quote, "You better believe it. It's not just pressure because of 2024 as in Paris, but also because of 1984 as in LA." Well, I don't know about that, because the city of LA is so very different now. We have different venues. We have different modes of communication, transportation. We have more participants. We have more. It's the city's much more populated. Yeah, there's gonna be pressure, but it's pressure because it's not really comparable to 1984. I don't think you really can compare Olympic Games in any city 40 years apart. You know, just the new the media coverage, how you're going to broadcast the games, all of that. But it's going to be far more difficult, and here's the real point, it's going to be far more difficult for Los Angeles than it's been for Paris, just because of logistics. Then if you want to talk about traffic, then if you want to talk about crime, yeah, it's going to be, as they say, hella different. It's going to be much more different, because we have obviously some problems that Paris does not and did not. Will we get the crime under control? I don't know. If you live long enough, you know that certain things are cyclical, and crime ebbs and flows from year to year, decade to decade. I don't know. It might be better, but it's going to have to get a whole lot better before the world is looking at us directly. But we'll have to wait and see. But I think the real trial run will be the World Cup in 2026. And if we can't handle that, we definitely won't be able to handle the Olympics. And also, I have to remind you, tonight is the last night in which we're giving away 2 pairs of tickets to see Australian Pink Floyd at the Orpheum Theater next week on the 14th. Again, tonight is the last night in which we will be giving away tickets to Australian Pink Floyd. And you know, if you've been listening faithfully to Later with Mo Kelly, you know when we're going to be giving away those tickets tonight. And if you don't know, that means you're just going to have to keep on listening. So Australian Pink Floyd tickets coming up later in the show. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
There's a lot of misinformation out there, and none of it is allowed here.
KFI
and KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live.